This video is sponsored by Classic Football Shirts, the best place to get your classic and vintage football shirts. To get cheap retro Palace shirts, click the link in the description below. Hello and welcome to the Equals to Palace podcast. I'm Alfonso Greenbrook, and in today's podcast I'll be looking over Palace's first team and under-23 pre-season results. I'll be discussing the lineups from each game, what we learnt from these games, as well as bringing you some winners and losers from the whole of pre-season. As well as this, I'm going to be bringing you interviews with several players after the games, so let's begin. Pre-season is over for Crystal Palace and the new Premier League season is only a few days away. New manager Frank de Boer has now had the whole summer to assess his new Eagles squad, including 3 new additions. He's brought in defender Jara Riedewald from Ajax for £8 million, as well as signing versatile defender Tim Fosu-Mensah and powerful midfielder Ruben Loftus-Cheek, both on season-long loans. The Dutchman has watched his side win 1, lose 1 and draw 2 before the final friendly against Merstham on Tuesday night, where a strong Eagles 11 came away with a 3-2 win. The Palace players are getting used to the more expansive 3-4-3 system, and with 4 pre-season games under their belt, the De Boer era is well and truly underway. And as the Premier League season comes closer into view, the Dutchman will have to start making some decisions about his 25-man squad and further additions. But who in the Eagles squad has done well under De Boer so far, and who has lost out? Comment below. Before I move on to reviewing each game from pre-season, I'm now going to read out the results from all the pre-season games, and that is including the under-23 results. So I'm going to start off with the first team who started off the pre-season against Maidstone United and came away with a 3-1 away win. Now to move on to the Asia Trophy. In the first round, Palace played Liverpool and came away with a 2-0 loss. But in the third place playoff to win the bronze medal, Palace played West Brom and came away with a 2-0 win. Now obviously coming back from Asia, Palace went to France to play League 1 side Metz, and Palace came away with a 1-1 draw. And the same last weekend, Palace played Schalke at Selhurst Park and also came away with a 1-1 draw. Now there was a few under-23 fixtures. You know, the Maidstone United fixture that I've already mentioned, that was meant to be a first team fixture but ended up being an under-23 fixture. But you know, a few first team players did play that game. But the main under-23 fixtures were the Dulwich Hamlet versus Palace, and Palace came away with a 2-1 loss in that game. Then the next game, the next week against Tooting and Mitcham, Palace came away with a 6-0 away win. And just yesterday against Merton Town, Palace came away with a 3-2 win, a very exciting game that was. But obviously they're just a few of the results. You know, I haven't looked into the under-18s and the under-21 fixtures. I've only looked at the under-23s and obviously the main first team fixture. But I'm sure if you go onto Twitter and search up CPC Youth, he gives you all the up-to-date information about the youth side. So if you do want to look into how the under-18s did or how the under-21s did, then I'm sure do give CPC Youth a follow on Twitter. But obviously now what I'm going to do now I've given you the results, I'm just going to sort of give you a sort of lowdown of each of the first team results, just to give you an idea, if you didn't see the game, sort of what happened throughout the game and what we sort of learnt from the game. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with the game against Maidstone United, which of course, like I said, was meant to be under-23 fixture, or meant to be a first team, ended up the under-23s playing with Jordan Much as well. But, you know, we still came out with a 3-1 win for Palace, a very good result. But what I'm going to start with is just by reading the starting 11. Starting with the goalkeeper Pertron, then in the defence was Woods, Brown, McGregor. Then we had Taverns, Owens, Lukema, Flanagan, Coker, Lukio and Much playing sort of across the midfield. And I think Lukio was playing up front. So obviously, like what De Boer's done when he's come to the club, he said that he wants to play the 3-4-3 formation, and certainly he doesn't just want that in the first team, he wants it in the under 23s as well. So as you've seen here, we've got a back three, we've got sort of 4 across the midfield, or maybe 5, and have 2 up front. So there was quite a mixture throughout the game, and obviously these subs were Curtis Henry came on for Pertran, the goalkeeper, Berkeley came on for Lakio, Fundi came on for Coker, Hungbu came on for Much, Daly came on for Taylor, Osea came on for Lukema, and Norman Williams came on for Flanagan. So as you can see here, there was all of the players from the under 23s got a chance to impress, and certainly came away with a 3-2 win. And like I've said already, you know, Coker and Lakio sort of playing up front in that sort of 3-4-3/3-5-2 formation. So it did vary throughout the game, but we were playing with 3 at the back. Obviously, you know, at the beginning of the game, Coker and Lakio had a few chances, early chances. Coker seeing his one be blocked, while Lakio's free kick was obviously cleared for a corner. But then shortly after that, Jordan Much, you know, the first team player in the under 23s, he took advantage of the goalkeeper. He got a pass back to him. Goalkeeper couldn't quite catch the ball, and because he didn't claim the ball, Jordan Much went around the midfielder and put the ball into the bottom corner, obviously making us 1-0 up. Then Maidstone went up the other end, won a free kick. Pigott took the free kick, lovely free kick from about 20-30 yards out, hit it right into the top corner, so brought the game back to 1-1. You know, I think it was a really good free kick. There was no mistake, pinpoint accuracy from the free kick from Pigott. The keeper had no chance to get it, and you know, I know that Pertran, he's very highly rated of by the academy staff, but he had no chance of getting that one. He went straight into the roof of the net, and obviously brung the home side back in level terms. Then shortly after that, half time, then Coker, you know, let across from Tyle Brown, run through to Much. So this is just after, sorry, not just before half time, not after half time. So just before half time, Coker got across from Tyle Brown, put a through ball, lovely through ball into Much, and he managed to, you know, take a shot and obviously finish the move off. So finish that little move off, have a shot on goal, and go into the half time with the 2-1 advantage. So Jordan Much, being the more experienced player in the under 23s, he scored 2 goals in that game. And obviously 20 minutes remaining, obviously a few substitutes came onto the pitch obviously towards the end of the game, just so that Frank de Boer, who was watching, could, you know, see all the youth players. You know, 20 minutes remaining, Berkeley came on, Jacob Berkeley came on, added to Palace's goal tally, obviously with him scoring the 3rd goal to make the game finish 3-1. Lovely goal it was, you know, lovely 1-2 pass in between the Palace midfield, got the ball to Berkey, and he was able to run through the defence and shoot home. And you know, although the other side, you know, Maidstone, they had a chance late on with Jack Richards. He got the ball into the net, he had a shot, but it was offside, so it was ruled out, and obviously that meant that Palace left the game with a 3-1 victory. And that certainly, from that being the first sort of proper pre-season fixture, you could see some positives from the game. And you know, I've said this already, it was meant to be a first team thing, but I think when Frank de Boer came in, he wanted to work with the first team more before they went off to Asia for the Asia Trophy. So I think he said, no, play the youth team there so that I can prepare the first team for their trip to Asia. So certainly, if that was his sort of thinking about it, yes, it angered fans because they thought they were going to a first team game, but in reality, if it meant that the first team had more training, then I perfectly understand it. And you can see highlights of the game on the YouTube channel, but on my channel here, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below. But certainly you can see from that game, even though it wasn't a first team game, the quality was certainly there to beat the opponents. Now obviously the under 23s, I've said this already, Frank de Boer wants to play the 4-3-3 formation, but he doesn't just want the first team to play it, he wants the whole philosophy of that formation to go throughout the club. So he wants the under 23s, under 18s, under 21s, whatever the youth teams are, he wants them all to be playing this formation, because it makes sure that when, say, someone like Lakio, who's on the brinks of the first team, when he gets chosen, he knows how to play that formation, as opposed to the youth teams playing different formations, so when they go to the first team, they don't know how to play. But certainly I think that if de Boer persists on having the youth teams play this formation, it will certainly make them used to it, so when they come up and when they make that step up to the first team, it will be easier for them. But now I'm going to move on to the Asia Trophy tournaments, like I've said already, and that is starting off with the 2-0 loss to Liverpool in the first sort of round of the Asia Trophy. So we, once again, like I said, de Boer playing a 3-4-3 formation. The formation, or the starting 11 was as follows: Wayne Hennessy in goal, a back 3 of Ward, Delaney and Kelly. In on the right hand side, starting from the right, was Townsend, Milivojevic, Ponchin and Schlupp. Then the sort of front 3 was Zaha, Benteke and Anderson. So Obviously, Palace came away with a 2-0 loss, and considering how good Liverpool have been this pre-season, it's not actually that bad of a result, considering how many goals they beat Bayern Munich by a few weeks ago. So a 2-0 loss isn't that bad, considering we did actually play well. And obviously, new signings Schalke and Divock Origi obviously scored for Liverpool and sent them into the final of the Asia Trophy at the expense of the Eagles. But we weren't going out to Hong Kong to win this tournament. We wanted to see what Frank de Boer could do, and actually it gave Frank de Boer a really good chance to mould his squad, because it didn't matter, it was a non-competition game, so it meant that even if we did lose, he still gets that experience with the squad. And certainly we did see that throughout the game. You know, that gave Frank de Boer that experience to, you know, experiment with the team, and certainly he experimented with the 3-4-3, and actually it did work, because up until sort of the 60th minute mark, Liverpool hadn't scored. So that just shows how well the formation was at coping with your traditional 4-3-3 in the Premier League. So hopefully that is a good omen for what's to come this season. But obviously, I've said this already, it was really even up until about the 60th minute, and at half time it was 0-0. So that's just credit to how well the formation worked, how well the team was set up. But obviously during the second half, Liverpool, with their squad depth, they brought on almost a new starting 11, meaning that because Palace didn't have that sort of squad depth, the Liverpool team had more energy, and because the Palace players were running a bit low on energy and they were a bit tired, it meant that Liverpool kept running at us, using their energy and their pace, which meant ultimately we did go on to concede the 2 goals. But like I said, they were scored towards the end of the second half, so it wasn't like that we were bad for the game because we lost 2-0. It was only 60th minute, 70th minute onwards that they scored the goal. And when you look back at the game, obviously Frank de Boer's experimenting with the squad, and the fact that we brought a few youth players. At that time, I think there was about 5, maybe 4 youth players on the pitch at that time. So whilst Liverpool were playing maybe 2 youngsters and had their whole first team there, Palace were playing with maybe 5, 6 youngsters. So that gave us a slight disadvantage because he had more experience on the pitch, and ultimately it did show. But I certainly think, having listened to what youngsters have said and having seen how they performed since this game, it certainly was a good performance from them, and it will be a good experience for them to take into games this season, and it will give them a real good chance of getting in the first team, because someone like Wan-Bissaka, who came on the pitch and played at right wing back for Townsend, he actually played superbly, and that could be a good omen for him actually being able to get into the first team this season. But I've said this already, all the youngsters came on, so just to go through it, you know, I've said this already, Kelly came on for Dan, Wan-Bissaka came on for Townsend, played really well, Loftus-Cheek came on for Milivojevic, Kirby, the England youngster, came on for Punchin, played well, Van Aanholt came on for Schlupp, Michael Phillips came on for Zaha, done a decent job, Ladapo came on for Benteke, had a few chances, and obviously Saka as well came on for Anderson. So all these substitutes we made, yes, they may not have been as good as Liverpool, but certainly it wasn't a bad performance. The formation seemed to work. We saw the right intensity from the team. It's just really that Liverpool were just a much better side than us. It wasn't that we played bad. It's just the fact that Liverpool had a little bit more energy, a little bit more pace, and that, you know, they had a little bit more quality to finish the game off. Because if it was the game finished at half time, you would have said a very even game. But in the second half, Liverpool obviously showed a bit more of the class than what they said. But before I go on waffling too much about the game, I'm now going to show you an interview with Jeffrey Schlupp and Keshi Anderson so they can share their views on the game.
Congratulations on starting tonight. How was that out there for you?
Yeah, it was good. Like I feel like first half we were a bit under the cosh. Liverpool obviously kept the ball well, and it was just more like discipline and keeping our shape. Like when we didn't have the ball, I felt like when we were on the ball, there were times where we could have been a bit better keeping it and whatnot, but there was obviously a few bits going forward where it looked like good and when we created a few chances. So I enjoyed it personally. I thought all the boys, we worked hard, and hopefully obviously we can go that one step better next game and obviously get the win.
What do you remember about that chance you had?
Yeah, I was literally going through it in there. Freddie said to me, what am I doing? I was daydreaming a bit, and he said to me, I was like, I'm just thinking about the chance. But I feel like I took it quite early. Obviously when the balls got reversed back through, I took it as early as possible, thinking the keeper's going to have to get across if I just try and sneak it in at the near post, and he's obviously got his hand down there just in time and put it around the corner. So it was unlucky. On another day it could have went in, but obviously at that time keeper's done well, to be fair. So
I think that's the biggest crowd you've played in front of.
Yeah, Danny said it to me earlier. He asked me, he's like, what's the biggest? And I said, I made my debut in front of like 25. And he's like, oh yeah, there's about 40 here. And I was like, all right, so topped it by about 15. So yeah, the biggest crowd today.
And how do you find playing in that? It's a different role for you, isn't it?
Yes, like kind of obviously like last season where I was on loan, I played in the number 10 like in the hole on my own. Obviously this position is a lot different obviously where we play with the 2 10s, but you have to drop in as a like 2 wide men as a 4 as well, so it is a lot more demanding like going up and forward and obviously that defensive side of it, but I enjoy it. It helps me get on the ball more. It helps me get on the ball more, and obviously that way I can affect the ball more going forward as well, so I think it helps me become a better player.
Jeffrey, unfortunately a defeat tonight, but how was the experience out there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we wanted to go out there and win, but I think it was, I mean, the workout today was very important. You know, some of the lads got 60, 75 minutes under their belt, and obviously with it being our first pre-season game, you know, we're looking to take the positives out of the game.
And you've been working on that new system for nearly 3 weeks. Was it good to get out on the pitch and put it to practice?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, part of pre-season is obviously to go out and try new things. You know, we've got a new manager in who wants to get his ideas across to us, and you know, the best way of showing that we're taking on board is obviously to show it in a game. And you know, unfortunately we lost today, but we take the positives out of the game and then hopefully improve in our next game.
Do you feel like that position suits you with the wing-back role?
Yeah. I mean, I see that as probably my strongest position, but you know, it's still about getting that fitness in, and obviously, you know, it's a new role this season, but I feel like I suit it well, and hopefully I can get fitter and do well in that position this season.
So now you've heard what the players thought of the Liverpool game, we're now going to move on to the third place game in the Asia Trophy, and that was of course against West Brom. And unlike the Liverpool game where we came away with a 2-0 loss, in this game against West Brom we actually came away with a really solid 2-0 win in my opinion. And I am going to repeat this next point quite a lot in this podcast, but in this game we continued to trial with this the 3-4-3 formation, and in this game it worked a treat because it gave us the ball playing from the defence that we needed. It gave the midfield quite a lot of space because there was more defenders, and also it gave the attack quite a lot of ability to go forward because we had the wing backs covering where the wingers would normally be. So the likes of Zaha and Saka were playing quite near to the striker, because obviously that's how the 3-4-3 formation works. But just to start with the starting 11, we had Hennessy in goal, a back three of Milivojevic, Delaney, Kelly. On the right hand side we had Townsend, then Punchin and Loftus-Cheek, with Slop on the other side. Then obviously the front three was of Zaha, Benteke and Sacco. Now obviously we did lose in the first round, let's say, of the Asia Trophy, which meant that whoever lost the other game whoever lost the game between West Brom and Leicester would go on and play the loser of our game. So we lost our game, which meant we played against West Brom because they lost on penalties against Leicester. So we obviously played against them because they lost their game, and certainly we wanted to win that third place in the competition. We didn't want to lose to West Brom because we know about the spite between Palace and Tony Pulis. So we really wanted to win this game, and luckily for us we put in a really solid performance and came away with the bronze medals, while West Brom came away with nothing. But obviously we claimed third place in the Asia Trophy, which is going to be really good, not only for attracting players to the club, the fact that they saw that we'd actually done alright in the competition, but also in terms of our fans in Asia, it's going to be really good because they're going to go Crystal Palace. They came third. I might not support Liverpool or Leicester, but I might support Palace as my English club because they've done pretty well in the tournament. But obviously, first half goals. In the second half, it was a bit less action. But in the first half, Luka Milivojevic scored a goal, and the same with Bakary Sacco, and obviously that saw us with the win 2-0. But obviously, start on Luka's goal. He was playing at centre back in this game because obviously De Boer was trialling something, and he saw the defensive skills that Milivojevic had, and that was fine because I thought he played really well there. But in the first sort of 10 minutes, Wilf went on a superb run down the left-hand side like he always does. Got fouled on the edge of the area. Up steps Milivojevic. We've seen him hit a few free kicks this season. He hit a lovely free kick just to the left-hand side of the goal, right into the top corner, and beat the goalkeeper. So that was a really good free kick to win the game, and to obviously get us into the game and ultimately win the game. But first 10 minutes we scored the goal, so we had that momentum going. And then Bakary Sacco, just towards the end of the first half, he had got a lovely through ball from Loftus-Cheek in the midfield, run past a few West Brom players, took a shot, it deflected twice, deflected off the foot and then off the knee of another West Brom defender, and went into the goal, meaning we went into half time 2-0 up, and obviously that put us in pole position. You know, West Brom had that 2-goal lead, or that 2-goal loss lead that they had to try and regain, which gave us the momentum to go forward in the second half. And obviously in the second half there was less action, but it was a little bit nervy. There were starts just after the restart where the Eagles defence, you know, we looked a bit nervy, but we still couldn't be breached. So that back three of Milivojevic, Delaney and Kelly, and also Tompkins when he came on later in the game, that back three did keep solid. And although there was a few nervy moments where the youngsters came on and we gave away possession, we still played pretty solid. And you know, I think we clung on to our victory because we really wanted to win this game. And obviously, you know, we got the third spot in the tournament. Now, I've said how well the game was and how solid a win it was. You know, once again, the team was well organised. Frank de Boer put them out there with the task. He said, this is the plan. You could see it when I was watching the game. I could see the way they were playing. They definitely had a plan. They knew what they had to do. They knew which channels they had to run down. So they knew what they were doing. And certainly, I think the 3-4-3 was a big thing in that, a big influence in that. You know, it continued to take shape. It worked. We started to see players started to mould to that shape. The likes of Townsend, who normally doesn't play as a right wing back, he normally plays as a right winger. In this game, he was playing as a right wing back, and actually he'd done that role really well, which shows that how the team is slowly taking shape and showing how they're sort of adapting and working with this new formation. And obviously Luca in defence, we know he's not a defender, and we saw that in the game where maybe he was a bit shaky defensively, maybe because he's not really, his positioning isn't as good as it would be if he was playing in midfield. But certainly with the 3-4-3, you've got to play the ball from the back. You've got to get the ball from the defence to the midfield and enter the attack, rather than just putting balls up through midfield trying to create opportunities. It's alright creating loads of opportunities, but you need to create good opportunities, and that's what the 3-4-3 allows us to do. It allows us to play simple, play it from the back, and try and create purposeful opportunities rather than creating a big quantity of opportunities. And certainly Luca in the defence helped us to play it from the back. But overall, I watched the game on Sky. Obviously I didn't travel to Hong Kong, but it's a really good game to watch. I really enjoyed watching it. Very competitive, and it's even nicer when your team wins. But really, the thing that I really liked about the game, it gave me and other fans quite a lot of idea of what we can expect this season against Premier League teams. You know, the Liverpool game, it showed us that yes, we could play well against the top teams, but maybe their intensity and quality might be too much. But when we've got teams who will be in and around the same area as we will be in the table, it shows that actually we can come up against these clubs and beat them. So it shows us really what we can expect when playing against teams in the Premier League this season. But like I said before, a really good game, really solid 2-0 win, and certainly like the other game, the Liverpool game and the other games before, you know, youngsters got a chance, which is a good thing. The formation is slowly working, so I just think it's overall a really good result. But just to go through the substitutes quite quickly, obviously Speroni came on for Wayne Hennessy at half time, Cabaye came on for Milivojevic, Tompkins came on for Delaney, Wan-Bissaka, the youngster, came on for Townsend, played really well. Johnny Williams came on for Punchin, played really well. Joe Ward came in for Loftus-Cheek when we changed the formation a bit, done an alright job. Vanano, like in the Liverpool game, came on for Slop, done a pretty decent job as well. Nye Kirby came on for Zaha, done a decent job holding out the result. Ladapo had a few chances like the last game, came on for Minteke. And Phillips as well, who's really impressed me this pre-season, as well as a few others, he came on for Sacco. But obviously, before going to talk about the next game against Metz, I'm now going to bring you an interview with Luka Milivojevic and Ruben Loftus-Cheek after the West Brom game, where they share their opinions on what happened.
Luka, you've been in plenty of practice on the free kicks recently, and so delighted one's gone in.
Okay, you know, I'm happy because of free kick, and first of all, I'm happy because we played one good game, we won in the end, and all in the team has to be happy, and we are traveling back with smile.
You had to play in the back three today. How did you find that?
Yeah, he tried me when we played against each other. It's one position, to be honest, what I play first time in my life, and I don't feel very comfortable in that position. But you know, I'm there for the team. I will every time try to give my best for the team. But to be honest, my position is midfielder, and like I said, coach decide. He think in this moment is the best for the team, and I'm player of the team. I'm team player, and I think it was okay. But I hope in future I will play midfielder.
Must be nice that we've gone and beaten West Brom, and now we fly on home tomorrow, carry on our preparations. Good to end it on a win, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's very good for our confidence, first of all. It's good when you finish some journey with the win in the end. And we are happy because we will travel tomorrow back to see our families with smile, and that is very important, especially for every player.
It's been quite a long 7 days. Have you enjoyed it out in Hong Kong?
Yeah, to be honest, my first time I enjoyed, but it was very difficult to adapt on the weather and on the time different. We had here now 6 days. I think maybe only two nights I sleep good. Other night I sleep maybe few hours. Not only me, other players. Very difficult, especially the weather here is not very good as well. But you know, we had good preparation. We can say success, and we're going back home now.
Ruben, must be nice for you to make your first start for Palace.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. I was keen to get out there and you know, get some fitness and get some minutes in. I think it's a good performance as well, so really happy.
Managed to get a bit more minutes under your belt, like you said. You started off against Liverpool with like 15 minutes, got a bit longer today. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, I really feel good. I mean, I came back a bit later than most of the squad, you know, as the transfer. Yeah, I had to build up slowly and slowly get more and more minutes. So for me, it was a good improvement today.
It's a bit of a physical battle in the middle of the park there. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the midfield you have to battle if necessary, and I think in a lot of ways that's where the game's won and lost. You know, you have to battle and also be technical and keep the ball. So for us, for Palace, battling is going to be a foundation for us to work off.
As a new man in the squad, how have you enjoyed the tour?
Yeah, really enjoyed it. They're good bunch of lads, and they're funny and great personality. So I'm really looking forward to the season, and I've settled in really well.
So after returning from Hong Kong, Palace went to France to play League One side Metz, coming away with a 1-1 draw in the process. Frank de Boer obviously in this game did continue to play with the 3-4-3 formation, and the lineup was as follows. Hennessy in goal, a back three of Milivojevic, Dan and new signing Riedewald. Starting from the right hand side was Townsend, Puncheon, Loftus-Cheek and Van Aanholt. And starting in the front three was Likio, Zaha and obviously Benteke playing up front. And obviously once again throughout the game there were quite a lot of changes to the 3-4-3 formation, but we still stayed and remained playing this formation as the game went on. We didn't change it and we didn't bring players on to change the formation. We kept the formation as it was. So throughout the game, Kelly came on for Dan, Tompkins came on for Riedewald, Phillips came on for Loftus-Cheek, Slop came on for Van Aanholt, Kirby came on and Kirby came on for Likio. So obviously all the players got a chance to impress, and as this game was nearer to the start of the season than the games in Hong Kong, it meant that I personally think that de Boer made less changes because he wanted to make it more like a realistic game in the Premier League where you're only allowed 3 substitutes, and I think that's a good way to do it, because although in pre-season you can make up to 10 changes a game, you know, it would be better and beneficial, I think, that actually the nearer you get towards the start of the season you have less and less substitutions, because it gets you used to the real thing, and certainly this is what happened in this case against Metz. And obviously playing in League One, they're a very good side and certainly have battled up against the likes of Monaco and PSG in the league, but you know, that league is not very competitive. There's always the top 3 or 4 teams, so Metz are sort of a modest team in the league, but certainly they did give Palace a game. And obviously Zaha scored his first goal of the pre-season. You know, just to talk you through the goal, Jason Puncheon, obviously being the captain as he is going to be this season, picked the ball up in the middle of the field, played a lovely sweeping pass to Townsend, who was playing the right wing-back role. He made a lovely run down the right-hand side, got right to the byline, put a lovely cross in, and obviously before putting the cross in, he sped up that thing, put a really deep delivery, so rather than putting it near the keeper, he put it as far away from the keeper as possible, making it really deep, and obviously put it to the back stick where obviously Zaha was waiting. Zaha ran onto the ball, hit it first time on the volley, drilled it low, obviously from close range, and obviously that left Diladon helpless, so the goalkeeper from Metz. So really good goal there, lovely build-up, Puncheon linking up well with the right wing-back in Townsend, lovely run from Townsend, a lovely sweeping pass which wasn't too near the keeper, and obviously a lovely Lovely, lovely volley from Zaha to score. But obviously, that was late in the second half. You know, only 12 minutes later, Metz did draw level, obviously bringing the scores to 1-1. It was a fantastic strike, and I won't give anything away to him. You know, people on Twitter have blamed Hennessy because they think he's a scapegoat this season. I don't think we can fault Hennessy because this is a really good goal. You know, it was a really weak header backwards from Milivojevic to Kelly. Obviously, Kelly had to try and then stop the Noyan, who's the Metz attacker. He had to try and stop him, but the 18-year-old shrugged off Kelly, and even though Kelly tried to race with him to the edge of the area, he couldn't quite do that. And obviously the young 18-year-old unleashed a hammer of a right-footed strike. It went straight into the top corner. Even if Hennessy was standing up straight and he was in the middle of the goal, there was no way he could have dived to save that, because it was literally top bins, really powerful, and a really good goal to concede. And you know, we talked about Milivojevic playing at centre-back. Yes, he could play there because he's got the defensive skills, but really he's out of position, and when he does a back pass like that, that'd be alright if he'd done it in the midfield, and he's used to doing that. But when you put him in defence, he makes mistakes like that, let's say, and he's not used to being in that position, so we have to chase the game back. And really, that's the sort of first proper mistake he's made in a Palace shirt. Yes, he made 2 or 3 minor ones towards the end of last season, but overall he's been fantastic. But that was the first real error he made. You know, in midfield, if you done a little weak header like that, there would have been a defender would be able to clear the ball away, or your midfield partner would be able to do that. But when you're playing in a back three, playing in defence, if you make a mistake like that, the attackers, the strikers, the wingers, they're going to put pressure on you and cause you to make the mistake. And in our case, unluckily for us, it was a mistake. But really, I've summed up the game really in 5 talking points. I would just discuss there the 2 goals, obviously, to give it the 1-1 draw. You know, the 5 talking points really from the game is that Zaha picked off where he was last season. So obviously, he got an assist in the West Brom game. Obviously, in this game, once again, continuing his form from last season, got another goal. My second point is that Luka at centre back, could it work? You know, like I said here, with the mistake he made, is clearly not his best position, but he's such a competent player that actually he looks quite comfortable there. He can do a job, and because he's professional, as you probably heard in the interview after the West Brom game, he'll play wherever the manager wants him to play. He's a team player. He doesn't matter where he plays as long as he can help the team. The third bullet point was Jaro Riedewald looks like a steal at £8 million. So our new signing, Jaro Riedewald, in this game, he looked like he looked assured at the back. He made some lovely tackles, beautifully timed tackles to stop the attacks. He was playing the ball nicely from centre back. So he looks like a really good buy. Not only a good defender, but he's only 20 years old, and I think he's maybe 20 and maybe 6 months old, so he's still really young. He's not even nowhere near 21 yet. So the fact that we've got him for £8 million, he looks assured at the back, he can play the ball, he's defensively solid at £8 million, and the fact that he's young, that's a bargain, considering, you know, there's young defenders like Robertson, I believe, who went for £10 million to Liverpool. You know, another player went to Leicester, a defender from Hull, I believe it was, he went for £12 million. So the fact that we've got Riedewald, who's proven at international level, he's played with Ajax, you know, we've got him for £8 million, that's really impressive. The fourth bullet point is that the youth players really impressed, and, you know, I've said this already, but you know, Frank de Boer has given Jason Lockio a chance, and he obviously played well in the front three alongside Zaha and Benteke. So in this game, Lockio was the only youth player really to feature in much impact because he started the game. But certainly, you know, through the preseason, there's been loads of players, loads of youth players getting the chance to play in the first team, and certainly they've taken a chance. And actually, you know, you would think just throw a youth player in there, see if they're good enough, and they might not be good enough. They may be too young. But Frank de Boer's put the young players in there, especially Jason Lockio, and they haven't looked out of place. So that just shows how good the youth is we've got going through. And I'll probably say this later on in the podcast when I go on to talk about youth. But seriously, Jason Lockio, could he play against Huddersfield? Because the fact that de Boer has played him in 3 or 4 friendlies already shows that he's probably got a bit of trust in him, and he believes that he's got the skills needed to go forth in the Premier League and do some good stuff. So hopefully we'll see more of Jason Lockio this season. But certainly youth players have impressed us all pre-season, and especially the game against Metz. And the final point really, and this is a really nice one, I really enjoyed this, there was links with Dan going to China and going to different clubs, but Dan looks like the Dan of old. You know, the last few seasons he's been fantastic for us. He's been our highest scorer in the Premier League for 2 seasons ago, so he's been really solid. But last season he got hit with injuries, and the fact that when he got the captaincy, it sort of affected the way he plays. But in this pre-season, he looked like Dan of old. You know, when 2 or 3 seasons ago, when we were saying Dan needs to be in the England side, he looked like that Dan. He was really solid at the back. He was composed like Riedewald, formed that nice partnership. He was classy in every pre-season friendly this summer. You know, he's been good on the ball. He's been really calm. He's looked assured, and certainly he looks to have rediscovered some confidence. So that's what happened. You know, when he got the captaincy and he got a few injuries, that sort of affected his game, and he weren't playing up to the standard that he was beforehand. But now he's rediscovered that form. He's playing like he was before, and if he can continue that into this season, playing against Riedewald as well, Riedewald can learn off of Dan, and Dan can be better and learn how to play the ball better from Riedewald. If we can do that, that would be a really, really solid defensive partnership this season. But really, you know, this game, although we did draw the game and it was a really good goal we conceded, there were still loads of positives to take from the game. The fact that Zaha got another goal, Jason Lakio got into the team again, Scott Dan's, you know, looking like the player he was many years ago. Riedewald looks like a really good signing, and obviously the fact that Milivojevic, I think this game highlights really that he should be playing in midfield, because I think he's wasted playing at centre back. But obviously, enough of me giving my opinion of the game. We're now going to have an interview with Jason Lakio and Joro Riedewald, where they give you their opinions on the game.
So that's your first match under the gaffer. How was it?
I think everything went well. I was trying to do my thing. I'm very happy today.
So it's a new formation for the team. How are you finding that yourself?
I think it's good. I think it's really good. We're trying to adapt our game, but I think we did well today.
And for you, what's your thoughts on the season ahead? What are you looking to do?
I just hope to get more chances with the first team, keep working hard, and we will see.
And Palace are playing next week at home. Are you hoping to get onto Selhurst pitch in front of the home fans?
Yeah, of course. It's a dream for me, but it's up to the coach, and yeah, I think I did well today. I just hope to get more chances.
Your first game as a Crystal Palace player, first 45 minutes, how did it go?
I think it went well. It was warm today, the weather was warm, but I think the things we trained on the training, those things went well.
And for you, 45 minutes of fitness, how was that personally?
Yeah, it was heavy, but I knew before I was going to play one half, and it's heavy. It's my first game this season, so yeah, that's always heavy.
It's your first game next week at Selhurst Park. You're looking forward to experiencing that?
Yeah, of course, I'm looking forward to that. I heard it was a nice stadium with a nice supporters. You can hear them right now, so I'm looking forward to playing in the Selhurst Park.
Now I'm going to move on to the final first team fixture, and that was a friendly against German side Shakhtar at Selhurst Park, and that was a game which, much like the Metz game, did end in a 1-1 draw. And obviously, like I keep saying in this podcast, Frank de Boer did continue to play with the 3-4-3 formation, and this was the lineup he chose to play at Selhurst Park. So in goal he played Julian Speroni with a back three of Milivojevic, Dan and Riedewald. Starting on the right was Townsend, Puncheon, Loftus-Cheek and Van Aanholt, with the front three of Zaha, Lakio and Christian Benteke. So obviously the substitutes in this game, much like I said with the game before against Metz, Frank de Boer decided to go with as little substitutions as possible to make sure, in my opinion, that it was as much like a real Premier League game as it would be a friendly game. So he only stuck with 3 substitutes for this game, just to give him, I suppose, in my opinion, an idea of what subs he could make in the Premier League. So what he done is, in the 81st minute, he took Riedewald off for Tompkins, he took Townsend off for Ward in the 70th minute as well, and then he took Lakio off for Lee in the 79th minute. So like he would do in a Premier League game, he tried to limit his substitutions as much as possible, just to give him an idea as what pre-season is for, to what team he could possibly select. But obviously at half time, you know, it was tipping down with rain. You could barely see. I was sitting in the main stand and I could barely see the goal which happened because the rain was so heavy. But, you know, Pablo Insua, I think the new signing for Schalke, he scored a really good goal for them. You know, a cross came in from the left-hand side. He managed to get to all of the other players in the Palace box and head that into the bottom corner just before half-time. Great header, Speroni. People could say he could have got down quicker to it, but, you know, it was right in the bottom corner. He tried to get down to it, but obviously he couldn't have. And if it was Wayne Hennessy, we would be criticising him so much for what happened. So I'm not really going to blame him too much. But obviously Christian Benteke, after the second half, we came out rejuvenated, and certainly we played much better. And Christian Benteke came on, he was playing in the first half, wasn't as good. In the second half, when he was getting better service, he was becoming better in the game, growing into the game. And obviously he got a header to keep the momentum building, to get us back into the game, and ultimately for us to go on to draw the game. Once again, Wilfried Zaha, we talk about his quality. He picked up the ball on the left hand side, made a lovely run, much like the one which caused Schalke to score. Lovely run down the left hand side, whipped the ball in. The Schalke goalkeeper made a save, but he parried it out to Benteke with a lovely diving header. The ball was only about 3 foot off the ground, but Benteke got down low, headed that into goal to make it 1-1, and obviously keep that momentum building. Because if he's now started to get goals in pre-season, the fact that Zaha's now starting to get back into giving assists to players, getting that momentum ahead of the new season, especially the game against Huddersfield, that's really crucial. And another player to highlight really is Andros Townsend. Now obviously, like he's done all pre-season, he's played in that sort of right wing-back role, and he's done that fantastic. In the first half, he cut inside, had a few shots, created a few chances for himself, especially in the first half, and obviously he got taken off in the second half, I think, for fitness reasons, but he certainly still had a big influence on the game. He was always looking to cross, much like Zaha, so whenever he got the ball out on the right flank, if he couldn't have a shot himself, he'd always try and cut inside on his left and get a cross in, and ultimately, if he keeps doing that, keeps putting in more crosses, ultimately Benteke is going to score more goals because he's going to keep getting better services. But certainly Andros Townsend, Benteke, Zaha, all impressed. Lekio as well. Yes, he started slow in the game, and in the first half he wasn't that great. And yes, he was criticised unfairly on social media. But I think he slowly grew into the game, became better. Riedewald looked solid at the back. Milivojevic looked good at the back. Just his positioning, which is a bit questionable, but that's understandable considering he's normally a centre-back. But really, I think there was a really good game. And I've bullet pointed, much like I've done with the Metz game, 5 talking points I think we can take from the game. So number one is being that De Boer needs a little bit more time to make his system work. And obviously there are signs that Frank De Boer's trusted 3-4-3 is working at Palace. It's really new. It means that we have to use possession. That's how it's orientated. We have the possession of the ball. And that's a system which could be a success because we've seen Chelsea win the league with it last season. And I'm not saying we'll win the league, but it worked for them. But it won't happen overnight. So we've still got a few training sessions left to get that final work in before the game against Huddersfield. So hopefully we can get that new system working right. The second bullet point, which I did write it down, and I saw a few other people say this, but I don't know whether to agree with this or not, but I'm going to put it on here anyway, and that's that Palace need more strength in depth. Now obviously it was clear that De Boer needs a few more signings. If we looked at the substitutions, late in the game, Lekio went off and Lee came on. Lee, he didn't really have that much influence in the game, and when he played in the under-23 fixture the other day, he looked almost the worst player on the field. And this is a Korean international who, playing with 19, 18-year-olds, is looking like the worst player. So maybe someone like Lee, and the fact that maybe Ward and Tompkins, they might not be up to the standard now of Riedewald. Yes, Tompkins and Ward are good, but maybe they're not as good of a substitution as you would like. But certainly we still need a little bit more squad depth. We've got enough players, likes of Ward and Tompkins, they are good enough, but maybe in other positions like the striker, maybe as another winger, we haven't got that squad depth. And Frank De Boer would probably be the first one to admit himself. The fact that he's playing Luka Milivojevic at centre back for the 3rd pre-season friendly in a row is probably a message that Frank De Boer probably needs one more centre back, and that's maybe where Fosu Mensah is going to play on loan from Man United. Maybe he will play there, and then Luka will move into the midfield. But at the moment it's quite clear that Frank De Boer doesn't really fancy his current options. He's looking at the team and going, actually, I might not want to play Tompkins because Tompkins is maybe better in a back 4, so I'll play Milivojevic there. So it shows that he's not really keen on some of the players. But certainly I think a little bit more squad depth, bring in a few more players. And the main thing really for me is, even if we don't get another winger, we don't get a right wing back, maybe we just need a striker. We need a backup to Benteke. That's the main thing. And if we get that squad depth, we get one more striker. When Wickham comes back in early 2018, we'll have 3 strikers to play in that role. But certainly squad depth I think is an issue. My third bullet point is that Zaha will be key again this season. Yet again in this game, Zaha was the difference between the two sides. Obviously he might have had a frustrating first half, much like Lakia, where he couldn't really get into the game. The team were trying to hack him down, not stop him getting chances. But, you know, as much like Lakia, he slowly grew into the game, got back into the game, started to find his rhythm, and that cross he put into Benteke to score, lovely cross. Unlucky it didn't go to Benteke first time, but luckily Farman, the goalkeeper, punched it out to him, and Benteke was able to head it in. So that cross, that accuracy of that cross was fantastic. Obviously, number 4 is that Loftus-Cheek looks like a good addition. It was obviously his first chance for the Palace fans. Obviously, it all in Selhurst Park to actually watch Loftus-Cheek, and obviously the new signing as well, Riedewald. And certainly everyone in Selhurst Park, the people I was sitting around, they were talking quite nicely of these people. They thought these are really good additions. You know, Riedewald was solid at the back, played the ball from the back, tried to create chances for the midfield to go forward and stuff like that. Loftus-Cheek, much like Riedewald, yes, done a bit of a defensive work in the midfield, but he carried the ball forward really well. And the only downside really about Loftus-Cheek's performance is the fact that when he got the ball, he can make a really good run. But instead of looking up, he was looking down, making sure he can get past players. If he looked up more and looked up on more occasions, maybe he would have been able to find a pass earlier, and maybe would have been able to get more assists or whatever in the game. But certainly, they looked fantastic. You know, Riedewald defensively solid, looked to play the ball from the back, and obviously, you know, Loftus-Cheek as well, he was, you know, carrying the ball forward really well. And the 5th bullet point is, I mentioned this for the Metz game, but it is that the ball really does rate the kids. You know, the most surprising thing for me looking at the team selection last Saturday was actually that the ball was given the young attacker Jason Lakia at the start, and I thought that maybe he'd play Townsend there and maybe play, you know, Ward at right wing back. I thought that may be what will happen, because we know that Townsend is normally a winger, he normally plays there, but this season he's been playing as a right wing back, and you know, Lakia got the chance to add another start to his debut, so he's now made 2 appearances for the first team like he did against Metz before, and it was another impressive performance. You know, I thought he grew into the game. Yes, he wasn't good in the first half like Zaha, but he grew into the game, and I think the criticism he got was pretty unfair. But it begs the question really, the fact that Lakia has now started 2 first team friendlies, maybe that begs the question, maybe he could play the first game in the Premier League, because if we don't get another right wing back or another right winger in before the end of the transfer window, maybe Lakia may be the guy to play against Huddersfield, and I think he's got the talent to do so. You know, if it takes him 10-15 minutes to get into a game, that's fine. You know, as soon as he gets into the game, his crosses are good, his free kicks are very decent as well, his corners are pinpoint, so I certainly think he's got the talent to be in the first team. But do you think he'll get in the first team? I think that De Boer will give the children, give the kids a chance to play, because really, you know, someone like Lou Dry, he already said he wants to give him a chance. So if Frank De Boer's willing to give the kids a chance, then certainly they need to do it, because he's sure he rates them. From what we've seen, they look good, so maybe we could see them play this season. But obviously, now you've heard my opinion, you're now going to hear an interview with Frank De Boer, Andros Townsend and Christian Benteke, where they give you their view of the game.
Andros, a 1-1 draw today. Was it a tough battle out there?
Yeah, I think Schalke are a top side, so it was always going to be difficult, but we did well. We drew 1-1 and obviously playing quite well, so we're positive going into next Saturday when it actually matters.
You had that chance right at the start. Did you feel like it was going to go in when it left your boot?
Yeah, I hit it well, but keeper made a good save. I had another chance, literally identical chance 10 minutes later, which I probably should have done better, but hopefully I'm saving them for the start of the season.
You're playing in that right wing back position. How different is it to when you played before? Because I mean, your game last season was getting back and defending.
It's completely new to me. I've never done that position before, but like you said, towards the end of last season, I was basically playing wing back anyway, so it's nothing new to me, and I'm getting to know the position more every day. On the training field, we're working tirelessly to nail it down, and hopefully we can hit the ground running come next week.
You pleased with pre-season overall, because you got that great assist last week against Metz?
Yeah, it's been good. Going to Hong Kong, playing against 2 Premier League sides, testing ourselves against them was good. Going to Metz and, like I said, getting an assist under my belt was good as well. And today against a top side, getting another draw. So no, we're all confident. We're looking forward to starting the season for real.
Yeah, starting the season next week. Premier League is back. Feeling the excitement?
Yeah, of course. There's always an excitement when the new season comes around, and first game at Selhurst Park will make it even more special, and hopefully we can give the fans some optimism from day one this season.
Christian, 1-1 draw today. What was the game like to play in?
I think we we played good. Obviously, we drew, but I think the way that the manager wanted us to play, that's why we try to do.
What do you think of Schalke as opponents?
I think it's a strong opponent. Obviously, they play. I think every year the top 6 of their league, and we play against a strong side. But we showed some great football, and we can take it from for the next game.
Are you pleased to get the goal today ahead of the season starting?
Yeah, finally, because I was a little bit frustrated against Metz. I thought twice the post, and today, I had a little bit of luck, but I was in the right place, and hopefully, I'm gonna score more for this season.
And Wilf's cross that led to your goal. Is it good to have him playing a little bit closer to you this season?
I think the way that the manager wants us to play, we are more dominant on the ball. We got more the ball, and everyone can show his strength.
There's a lot of people who had to adapt to different positions. Has your game had to change at all in this system?
I will say yes, because we got more now the ball on the ground, and we try more to play and to build up from the back. And it's gonna be like more interesting for the attackers, because obviously Wilf gonna be more on the ball, and Jason as well. He showed some great things today, and hopefully I'm gonna be there to score the goals.
Yeah, what do you think of Jason, another Belgian like you?
I think it's a young player with a lot of qualities, and we all try to help him, because it's not easy, and we want him to be good and to feel free.
A week now till the Premier League starts again. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, finally. I think we are ready, and the good thing is it's gonna be our first game at home, so hopefully we can get those 3 points.
1-1 draw today, very close to being a victory with that chance at the end. What did you think of the performance?
Yeah, I was quite pleased with the performance. First half, I think we could do some better things to press forward. I think you already saw the difference in the second half. We pressed more forward, and from there we created a lot more chances. I think we dominated more the second half. At the end, I'm very pleased with the performance, because of course we could have won, but also the physical aspect is very important, and we know everybody that the Germans are very fit always, but I think maybe we looked fitter. So I'm very pleased, how they dealt with how we want to play, and I'm looking forward for next week.
Schalke good opponents to play a week before the Premier League.
Yes, we know Schalke is a team who wants to be back in the international level, so they want to be 4th or 5th in the league again. So they bought a lot of good players. If you consider that, we can be very satisfied.
Goal from Christian Benteke today. Was it important for your striker to get a goal before the season starts?
Of course, strikers are always keen to make goals, but for the confidence it's always very important, and so I'm happy for Christian.
We saw Jason Lekilo play again. What did you see in him in training to give you the faith that he could play in the first team?
First of all, I didn't knew that he was, because he was on the 23, and I didn't knew him that well. Of course, Mark Bright, who did a lot with the youngsters, he mentioned that he's one of the talented players. And so when we had one man or 2 men short, we picked Lokilo, to participate in our training sessions. Yeah, and he had a great impression. He gave us a great impression of his qualities, and so that's why, he deserves to play today.
A lot of players played 90 minutes today. Is everyone fit and ready now?
Yeah, I think Jairo was like almost 80 minutes, and so and Jason, of course, with the tension first in Selhurst Park, you get a little bit of cramp, but I think overall they looked very fit and ready to start the season. And
finally, did you enjoy your first match at Selhurst Park?
Yeah, fantastic. The crowd, enjoyed themselves and were support behind the team, and I'm looking forward to Selhurst Park packed.
Now to quickly look over the under-23 results from their pre-season. In the game against Dulwich Hamlet, Palace came out as 2-1 losers as Jordan March again continued his pre-season form with another goal. Against Tooting and Mitcham, Palace came out as 6-0 winners, with goals from Nye Kirby, Johnny Williams, Tyler Brown, Freddie Ladapo, Jordan March and Andre Coker winning the game. Finally, against Mersham Town, Palace came out as 3-2 winners in a dramatic game, with Sully Kaiko, Freddie Ladapo and Michael Phillips all scoring. Comment below whether you think any of the under-23 players will get a chance in the first team this season. Now I'm going to move on to 3 things I think we learned from Crystal Palace's pre-season. Number 1. Zaha has picked up from where he left off last season. Wilfried Zaha was Palace's Player of the Year award for the past 2 seasons, and if pre-season is anything to go by, he's on course to win it a 3rd time in a row. He has been superb in pre-season so far, and has basically picked up from where he left off last season. Against Metz he had a quiet first half but made a difference after the break. He bamboozled the French defence and scored Palace's only goal of the game with a well taken volley. Number 2. De Boer's new style is working. Most fans were understandably apprehensive about the Dutchman's promise to improve the style of football at Palace, especially after Alan Pardew's attempts to do so ended so terribly. But so far it seems like the team is able to adapt to the more total football approach and not concede shed loads of goals at the same time. Obviously it is only pre-season, but all the games so far have been against Premier League quality opposition, and the style of play has notably improved. The real litmus test will be against Huddersfield in 2 days' time, but the initial signs are promising. Number 3. The kids will get a chance. De Boer promised 2 things when he was appointed manager: to improve the style of play and give youngsters a proper go. He has stuck to his word on both, with plenty of young Palace players being given pitch time in pre-season. In every game so far there has been plenty of minutes for a fair few kids, including starts against Liverpool and Metz for Keshi Anderson and Jason Lucio respectively. If De Boer is serious about reducing the age of his squad and blooding more youngsters, he will continue that trend into the new season, and Eagles fans would love to see another Wilfried Zaha break into the first team. Do you agree with the 3 things I think we've learned from Crystal Palace's pre-season? Comment below. Now I'm going to give you my winners and losers from Palace's pre-season, as Frank de Boer chooses his 25-man Premier League squad. Winners: Wilfried Zaha. Palace's star man in pre-season so far, and man of the match in both games in the Premier League Asian Trophy, as well as grabbing a goal against Metz and an assist against Schalke. De Boer seems impressed with the Eagles star, having compared him to Brazilian star Neymar, and already is looking to build a team around him. Wolf looks to have picked up where he left off last season, getting man of the match against Liverpool and West Brom and scoring a well taken volley against Metz, and is going to be an important player for Palace this season. Jason Lucio. The Belgian teenager was plucked out of nowhere and given a start for Palace's penultimate pre-season friendly of the summer at Metz, the sort of game most managers would lean towards their first team regulars. He then started the final friendly against Schalke and looks to be a serious contender for De Boer for Saturday's opener against Huddersfield. But De Boer has been handing proper opportunities to lots of the youngsters all pre-season, sticking to his promise to give youth a chance, and Lucio impressed against Metz and Schalke. Could he be the name to break through this season? Scott Dan. The former Eagles captain has rediscovered his confidence in pre-season after a campaign dogged by injury and poor form in 2016-17. De Boer repeatedly was ready to replace him, but the centre-back has impressed so much in pre-season with his calmness on the ball and defensive organisation, 2 things De Boer loves, that he is now ready to build his defence around Dan. No other Eagles player has saved their club future so quickly. Julian Speroni. Another player whose future at Palace appeared to be over, at least as a first-teamer for some time. Speroni has been brought in from the cold by De Boer. The Dutchman gave the 38-year-old Eagle cult hero a game in the Asia Trophy and then surprised everyone by giving him 90 minutes in the final friendly of the summer against Schalke. Jules hasn't seen so much first-team attention for ages, and the Palace fans are loving having him back. Will we start against Huddersfield though? Losers: Joel Ward. Ward played both Palace's Asian Trophy games in Hong Kong on the right-hand side of the back 3, but since those games, De Boer has reportedly decided that he needs an upgrade. In fact, playing midfielder Luka Milivojevic in Ward's position is a clear sign from De Boer that he doesn't rate the Palace number 2. And now Tim Fosu-Mensah's arrival will see Ward fall further behind in the pecking order, especially as Fosu-Mensah can play in both positions that Ward is being considered for. Jordan Much. Forced to play pre-season games with the under-23 side, where he scored 4 goals in 4 games, it looks like that Much's future as a first-team player is over at Palace. He lost his place in the 25-man Asia Trophy squad to youngsters, as the board clearly intends to go for youth going forward and clear out some deadwood. That includes Much despite his hot pre-season form. He has though been given a squad number for the upcoming season, but appearances in the first team will probably be limited. Wayne Hennessy. Another player De Boer has reportedly decided he needs an upgrade on. Hennessy has been number 1 for the past 2 seasons, but looks set to lose his place with reports that De Boer is looking at various keepers. He wanted Jasper Clinton, but after being knocked back by his former Ajax shotstopper, he has now turned his attentions to Adrian, who's reportedly told West Ham he wants to leave after Joe Hart's arrival. Speroni's appearances wouldn't have done Hennessy's chances any good, although it should be pointed out that the Welshman has actually had a fairly solid pre-season when played. So there you have it. Now you've heard my opinion on Crystal Palace's pre-season. That concludes the final podcast before the beginning of the season. But make sure to come back next week for my post-match review of the game against Huddersfield. So thanks for listening, and remember to up the Palace!